Hello everyone, this is Taylor Swift filling in for Marushko today, and I'll be teaching y'all how to optimize your SSA protocols. First of all, let me preface this by saying that no matter how good you are, SSA will forever be luck-based at its core. But what you can do is make sure you are not wasting any good luck you get during the segment. Second of all, in this tutorial, I am going to focus solely on SSA in the context of hundo or dupless/7 assets. With all of that out of the way, let's start with hundo. As you know, in hundo, we have a trick that lets us skip the bottom 3 cars of every list. That means that you only have to collect half of what is actually needed to pass the asset. Now let's see all of the places where you're going to be searching for cars most of the time. Every single car, minus the sports cars, can be found at the Little Havana Cafe. However, that doesn't mean you should sit there the entire time. The only time you should be going to Little Havana is at the start, and you keep going there until you get an Idaho and a Cuban Hermes, and depending on your route, a Trojan Voodoo. The reason for that is that on the bridge you have a lower concentration of cars that will appear. So for example, you cannot get an Idaho or the Hermes or the Voodoo, and you don't need them anyway at this point. So once you have your Idaho, Hermes, and Voodoo, keep in mind the Voodoo only starts spawning after you complete 2-bit hit. You should head to the bridge for the rest of your cars. The sports cars are the least of your priority, as they are very likely to spawn on the road at SSA. You also need not worry about getting a landstalker, as you can get one, without losing much time, on naval engagement. The same goes for the 3 sports cars, which you can also get during that mission if you already have a landstalker. The Banshee from the house with the Rockstar pool, the Infernus from the mansion, and the police cheetah, which is on your way at the end of the mission. Do not get baited into stealing the police cheetah, which sometimes spawns to chase you. You will get murdered. Another way of acquiring the sports cars is at the very end of the segment. Once you've done everything else, you can start Race 2, which spawns exactly those 3 cars, and now they are in memory, therefore they will spawn more frequently. You can just sit on the main road at SSA, and one of them will spawn soon enough. And now, once you know all that you have to, let's talk about the side stuff that you will be doing during SSA. In the order of importance and priority, you will be 1. Looking for cars that you don't have. 2. Answering calls. 3. Setting up your taxi destination while driving towards the cafe or the bridge. This means that if you just answered a call and you see an Esperanto while running to the cafe, you can cancel the call and take the car and deliver it. Of course, if the call is near its end, you can wait it out while making sure the Esperanto isn't going anywhere. However, if you are listening to a call and you see a taxi, you should continue running to your destination because the call is higher priority than setting up taxi destinations. Taxis are quite common. Setting up taxi destinations here is good because it allows you to move and not just stay in one place while you pick up passengers. However, if you don't manage to do it, you shouldn't worry because you can set them up later in the run, after Trojan Voodoo. Another trick for setting up taxi destinations is if you're missing a cheetah and you already got all the cars from the cafe, you can use a taxi to set up destinations whilst heading to the police cheetah. Now here's a trick that I've seen Marushko use. Once you've answered all the necessary calls and set up a taxi destination, you can start driving cars to the cafe or the bridge. What I've seen him do is, after he's delivered or stored a car, he save warps and does a quick save and load which respawns the Sentinel, and he then takes it and drives with it. Doing a quick save and load also helps with getting new cars spawned on the roads, the same way that playing replays can spawn new cars in memory. One last thing about hundo SSA that I want to mention is a very rare glitch that has happened to a bunch of runners where no matter what you do, you just never seem to get a Voodoo or, most often, a Cuban Hermes. So far, the only solution is restarting your game completely. So there's all you need to know about SSA and hundo. In other categories where you need only list 1, the knowledge you have here is sufficient enough, but I'll mention a few things quickly. You should still head to the cafe first, so you can find an Idaho, but also a stallion. The stallion only spawns at the cafe. The Blista, Esperanto, and Landstalker can all be found at the cafe as well as the bridge. However, your best shot at finding the rancher will be on the main road at SSA. So the order goes as such. 1. Head to the cafe to find a stallion and an Idaho whilst listening to calls and looking for the other 4 cars. 2. Once you've got the 2 cafe cars, head over to the bridge to look for a Blista, Esperanto, and a Landstalker while you're still listening to calls and looking for a rancher on the way there. 3. If you have all 5 cars and still don't have a rancher, save and load just in case and look for it while spamming replays on the main road at SSA. The last thing that needs to be mentioned is the order of importance and rarity of the cars. On the screen you will see, in order, the cars Marushko prefers going for. For example, if he sees an Idaho and an Esperanto and he could only get one, he would take the Esperanto, as the Idaho is a much more common spawn at the cafe. The sports cars are obviously bottom of the list, as well as the Landstalker, which you can get on naval engagement. The rest is mostly relative, and it can't be measured which car is rarer, but once you play enough, you will notice which cars will most commonly lose you the most time. Now, as a bonus, I will do a commentary of this footage that Marushko has sent me of him doing SSA in Hundo. Okay, so the first thing I have to mention here is that in this route, the only difference to others is perhaps the calls he's answering and the fact he does the Race 1 Instapass here. The reason he goes for the Infernus at the back here is because he wants to glitch the Banshee. Glitching a taxi here isn't necessary, but since he has to do Race 1 as well, it's not the worst idea to have it right there. I want you to notice how he parks the Infernus here. You'll see the reason in just a second. It lets you warp out the other car after you park inside it. He tried to cancel the call with those exits, but he was too early. It's pretty much only for the Race 1 Instapass. He does a save and load here to remove the taxi from memory since it was glitched, but I want you to notice what car he gets at the very beginning. I certainly don't remember seeing a single Landstalker before this reload. The call is higher priority here, but it doesn't mean you can't secure a taxi whilst running to the cafe. Couple of saves here to remove the rain. Only one cafe car left. Ignore the fact he does these missions here. It's part of the non-linear part of the route. This is the last cafe car, and now it's time to go to the bridge to collect the last remaining car, the Esperanto. It's very important that you step up on the bridge to get the best cars. That's all for me. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure to stream folklore.